Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. I'm continuing my journey through the Enchanted Forest and snapping a few pictures along the way. I'm going to have this framed in a nice red lacquer frame so it will look nice on display beside my owl. Come join me on my adventure through the Enchanted Forest to discover the mystery that awaits in the castle at the center. Not too many leaves left. I'm coming in with the earth green yellowish on these serrated leaves in the center, giving them a light base layer over the whole leaf. Not totally sure how I want to color them up, but I am starting with one color and I will build out from there. I generally have a couple of colors that work well together, so I can pick one set of colors, then I just need to determine where I want shading and how to make the leaf look. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps keep you informed of when I post new videos, as well as join in on the color alongs. I have palettes and timestamps in a Patreon post, so go check that out if you want the whole list of colors. And if you missed out on my free coloring page, be sure to check that out in the cards for some playlists, including the one to get that and color along with me. Subscribing is the best way to learn more about freebies like that. I come in with the permanent green olive and begin blocking in some shading and darker parts on the leaves. But I changed my mind, not liking how it looked, so I erased it back, fixed the base layer of earth green yellowish, then I tried a different location for the darker parts of the leaves and it worked much better. I am making it darker under the dotted line and lighter just above it, to make it look like the leaf is pillowing up between sections. With the dark green, I add in a slightly darker section right up against the dotted lines to make it look like it is really puffing up and over. It gives the gradient a smoother look with more layers and colors blending together. I bring in more earth green yellowish to add in another layer over the whole leaf, to help blend in the colors and to fill in the highlight area a little more. I now bring in sepia to touch up the shadows and make them stand out a little more. Just a little right under the dotted line where the leaf curls over and where the leaves overlap. I go through and work up all the overlaps, even on the leaves I haven't worked up yet. Back with the permanent green olive, and I blend the shadows a little more and darken them up more. I'm refining the color and contrast at this point, making the colors darker and blend in better. I come in with more dark green to do the same things, darken up the darkest part of the shadows to get more contrast and give more dimension to the picture. I do give each leaf a light layer over the whole leaf to tone down the brightness of the highlight. Just a light layer, as I do still want the highlight to be visible. For the next set of leaves, I wanted to try something with the earth green since it worked out quite nicely on the ivy leaves. I come in and give the leaves a base layer as a starting point because, again, I haven't planned out what the final leaf will look like. I'm just picking a set of colors to work with. I decided to make the center rib lines dark and came in with the chrome green oxide to fill them in. I also gave the leaf a little shading along the edge. For the second leaf, I tried shading on the inside and much preferred that, so I will go back and fix that first leaf so it looks the same as the others in the group. I do think either can work, I just preferred the darker green in the center. I come in with the dark green to make the center ribs a little darker. Back with the chrome green oxide, I go through and add in another layer to the center and to the shading along the center just to darken it up a little more. I bring back the earth green to fill in the lighter sections a little more. If you've made it this far and have enjoyed coloring along with me or just watching, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a like and subscribe to stay informed of when I post more videos. It really helps me out. Check out my blog posts on Patreon. I have a short write-up, my palettes, and a list of chapter breaks, and they're available for everyone. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes, as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of my affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I post 3 times during the week, and subscribing is the best way to stay in the loop. Plus, if I post more free coloring pages, you'll be one of the first to know. Acorn time, and this one will be brown. I begin with the walnut brown, adding in a light layer over the whole acorn, then I go through with a focus on the shadows, adding in extra layers and working up the depth in those spots. I also work up shadows under the lines on the cap for extra texture. I bring in raw umber to blend and add in a layer over the lighter parts of the acorn as well as the stem. I now want to blend the walnut brown and the raw umber together with some nougat at the spot where the shadows begin to transition over to highlights. I also add in nougat to the shadow area to help smooth out the shadows and darken it a little more as well as fill in the paper. Back to the walnut brown to refine the shadows, darken them up where needed, and add in more layers. The little branch I work up with a base layer of raw umber. I blend in some nougat over top as I am not a fan of the raw umber by itself, especially for a branch. For the leaves, I begin with a base layer of grass green over the whole leaf. I debated on making the opening be little windows, but I thought that might get complicated with the border, so I didn't. I decided to bring in the leaf green and make the center part a little darker near the center and lighter towards the edges. I bring in a touch of sepia for a couple of shadows, and these leaves are done. On to the top and the last leaves. I wasn't sure what to do with these, but I began with the earth green and gave them a base layer. The chrome green oxide works really well with the earth green, so I bring that in and decided to do the same thing for these leaves as the little window leaves I just finished. I work up the area closest to the center to be darker and feather out the color in a light gradient. It is a little difficult in some of the smaller sections, but looks pretty cool overall. And that finishes off the leaves. Thanks for joining me on this adventure today. Let me know below or on social media if you colored along. I'd love to know how you did. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. Please like, share, and subscribe to help that happen. Until next time, happy coloring!